Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies. And today I believe we are doing would it be the top 10?
Top 8.
Top 8 TV series that we watched. Because, there's things that we didn't watch. Like last night on Golden Globe, Succession 1, and
Well, there were a couple
like
of shows that
we
we
didn't
had.
watch.
There were a couple of shows that we had to disqualify because they did not finish their seasons in 2023.
Oh, yeah. That's another problem.
And so those don't count because, it's not the full season. It's only half or whatever, so that doesn't count. So, Safi?
Okay, well,
You ready?
The last one.
No, I'll go.
Okay, you do the whole thing, and then I'll make comments.
Are you ready?
Yep, sure thing.
Well, number 8 is Goosebumps.
Which is very sad.
And this show...
We're very disappointed.
This show was an insult to the Goosebumps books, an insult to R.L. Stine's writing. It's no surprise, though, that, after they censor his books and turn them into agenda books by censoring them and ruining them, they decide to ruin them also by making a shitty show with the shitty people who did the first shitty Goosebumps movie.
Which was a mistake.
A terrible decision, as usual, with this franchise. And this series was one of the worst things that we've ever seen.
Sad.
They pretended like they were adapting these stories, but they were just destroying them, and they were trying to make them into like a Gen Z soap opera drama. And the characters were really unlikable. First off, you had the main guy. He was like a douchebag football player who you didn't like at all, and he couldn't act either. And then you had the feminazi smart-ass girl who was like really unlikable. And it's so funny too that like she's supposed to be this like feminist character, but then like her whole story, the whole season, is that like she has to be with a man. Like, oh, which boy should she choose? Should she choose Lucas? Or should she choose football douchebag guy? And it's so funny that like she's a supposed feminist character, and then her whole story revolves around men. Like, that's pretty bad. Right, Safi?
Yeah. It was really weird, and it was disappointing. And he took her completely for granted.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when she was showing interest in somebody else.
She was his girlfriend.
He gets all huffy and like, who in the heck do you think you are, bud? And the only good thing about him was they had this thing where they were trying to fool them, the bad guy, Slappy. And it was all about Slappy, too, the whole series.
Yeah, it was a bait and switch. It was a bait and switch where they made you think this whole season is going to be about the original character, Harold Biddle, even though they also plagiarized Nightmare on Elm Street and did, Freddy Krueger Jr., but then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, it's all about Slappy, just like usual, because there can't be any Goosebumps without Slappy in any way.
And then when they were trying to manipulate the football player, they said he'd been accepted for the Washington team, the Washington Huskies, the ones who played just last night, which was sad because Michigan won, but still the quarterback for Washington, I think he got injured.
Okay, Safi, we're trying to go through this here.
But anyway,
that's
that was the
irrelevant.
only good thing. It really wasn't. It was just.
That wasn't really a good thing at all.
Because of the thing with Slappy.
Okay, so I was trying to go through the characters, but you kind of screwed that up. And so then the next character, you had the Carly Beth tokenized version, where they not only destroyed her, but they destroyed her mother as well. And they just ruined her and made her into an internet troll for no reason at all. And so her character isn't likable. Like, yeah, she's invisible to everyone, but she's a horrible person who's trolling people online, and she's a biatch, and it's like, well, why should we feel sorry for her? or like her at all. And then her character has nothing to her basically after that, except the feminist character calls her a strong, independent woman, and we're supposed to believe it because she says so. And then also you had Lucas the bully, and he was a big bully, a real piece of shit, and then all of a sudden they had an episode and it's like, oh, well, he's sad about his dead dad, so it's okay for him to be a bully. And
he changed, and then he was almost like insignificant.
Yeah, and then he became
weird.
He became like a non-bully overnight, where all of a sudden he's not a bully anymore because he's feeling sad about his dad. And
he
then
wasn't anything. He became insignificant.
Well, they had this whole big event happen, and all this shit happened to them, and then all the characters got mad at him for feeling emotional about those things happening, and about like almost dying and all that type of stuff. Like, they got mad at this male character for feeling emotions, and so like it's really queer. It's like. And that's another thing too, is like, feminists claim that like men should show their emotions, and then this guy shows his emotion and shows that he's not over what just happened, and they're all like, F you. And then that one guy takes advantage of him feeling like that so that he can sneak up on the feminazi and get with her. And then the worst part is that Slappy is turned into an anti-war activist, where his whole story is that he was a soldier in a fictional war that never happened ever, and he wants to make 1,000 sacrifices so that he can bring monsters to life, and it will scare humans into not doing war, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And then at the end of the show, probably the worst thing of anything Goosebumps in history is that the feminazi, she undoes everything so that she can bring that douchebag football player back to life. And for a second you thought, oh, maybe this show will do something ballsy, and it will end with one of the characters dying, and oh no, we can't do that because we have to have the love triangle between the supposed strong, independent woman and the two boys. And who will she choose? Right, Safi?
It's just ridiculous.
What'd you think of that?
It's amazing that Marco remembered all that. I mean, when he talks about it, it brings back memories. And it's just like I say before, if something's bad, I just want to put it on its shelf and forget all about it. But unfortunately, Marco remembers every bad moment. Almost stupid. You can't do that. I mean, it just ruined everything. I guess they were trying to make it's like a wonderful life. They were going to make that a bad ending, and they've had focus groups, and they made it into a good ending. But that was different.
But this was a bad ending. This was bad because she undid everything at the end just to bring him back to life.
And so Slappy can come back too.
And then guess what? He's back, and it's stupid and shitty, and if it gets another season, we will be tearing it to shreds and destroying every single moment of every episode.
Unless it's good, like the Goosebumps.
No, it wouldn't be good.
Movie.
It wouldn't be good.
I don't know how
it wouldn't be good
either, because
these people can't write. They can't handle it.
This wouldn't be a new thing. You would be continuing with what would happen. So,
as we saw with the movie, they don't take constructive criticism. Because they made this, and this was exactly like the movie. So, they don't ever evolve or improve as writers. They just make shit, and then you have to like it, or else you're a bad person, and you won't let anyone else like it, which is pretty funny.
Which is stupid, because some people don't care about reviews, but they will like to hear them to see what they have to say, which is fine with me. Everybody has their own opinion.
So number 7 is Dead Ringers.
I don't think I saw that.
No, Safi, you didn't see everything on this list, obviously.
Okay.
This show was a remake of the movie, and it was awful, and it was a huge disappointment because the main actress is good. But unfortunately, nowadays, 9 times out of 10, if you have a show with a female lead or a movie, it's going to be about agendas, and it's going to be about hating on men. And so that's what the show is. It's like an agenda show. It's a feminist show. And so, they ruined that. You took the original movie, it had nothing to do with feminism, and then, you have to make it all about feminism because it has a female lead. And it's like, it's really sad that, like, nowadays, like, you can't have a good, like, female-led movie or show without shoving stupid agendas into it and ruining it. And they try to do some stupid political satire, too, where, like, they had this whole filler episode where they spent the night at this rich people place, and they played this stupid game of, like, hide and seek, and it was just so stupid and bizarre that I couldn't even finish the season. And it really wasn't a show either, it's just a miniseries, it's another, extended movie, which has become a huge problem with TV shows nowadays, where they're all, like, extended movies. They're not really, like, TV shows.
They probably should just say miniseries like they used to.
Yeah.
At least be more true to the fact.
Number 6 is Dark Winds Season 2.
Okay, well, I can say something about this. I have been reading more of the books, not lately because I wanted to take a break. I've read quite a few of them. And there was one complaint we had, and that was about Jolie porn. The way they have turned his character, both characters actually have suffered. I think Jim Chi is a little bit more following the book in terms of his, I don't know, what would you call it? He just kind of shifts from thing to thing. But the way they made Jolie porn, like he was going to go be an avenger, and just, it's not true to the character at all. Sorry, it just isn't. I've read enough books to know that. And I've reread them, been rereading them, and it's just not true. The character, and I think the biggest complaint we had was the series is too short. So they can't really successfully tell a good story because they don't have enough episodes.
They only have 6 episodes.
We have been through this over and over.
Not enough.
In the old days, which it doesn't have to be that many episodes, like when they have 21 or
24.
24.
Which is good.
But you have to have enough to where if you have a few stinkers or clinkers or whatever you want to talk to, it can be allowed because there's enough to cover it up or to go over it or go past it. But when you have so few episodes, you cannot afford to have a bad episode. Everyone has to be good. You just don't have enough to fall back on. And the other thing, we saw a really good movie last year, and that's a movie. This is a series, but it was Killers of the Flower Moon. I've been reading that book too. That was a very well done movie about Native Americans, an actual Native American tribe, the Osage, which is weird. I grew up in Missouri, and all the stuff with the Osage, that's who they were. And they showed the culture, they showed a drama, they showed something that really happened to them, a murder mystery, and some of it's never been solved. There are a whole range of stuff. I know, it's a movie, and it was 3.5 hours long, but it can be done. You can show Native Americans better than what this show did. They just picked, because there's so few shows, they just picked things here and there, and they kind of pasted it in there amongst the little thin thread of the story. And it's just, I just wish it could be better than what it is.
Well, it started off really good for 2 episodes, and then it became trash again. Because they did this thing at the beginning where they showed the future, where they confronted the bad guy, and they made it look like, ooh, this is going to be really intense. And the build up to that moment is for 2 episodes. And it's like, see, this is why it should have been longer, because that's not enough to properly build that up.
No.
To make it an impactful thing that happens.
And there was a lot more to him in the book.
Then everything that happened after that was just stupid and dumb and boring, and they completely destroyed the main character, where he's supposed to be this heroic Native American character, and he's abusing his power, he's torturing the suspect, and
he's talking about Joe Lee porn, too.
It's
Does
disgusting.
Does that sound like him? Everybody who's read the books? No way.
And so they destroyed that character to where you'll never like him again, because it's like he never atones for that. He never says that he did something wrong. It's just like, oh, it's totally okay that he abused that guy and did all that stuff and abused his power, because that's the main character of the show. And another thing is that all the female characters in the show, all of them at the end of the season just left. Like, you had Emmanuel Leda. She left because she wanted to be a strong, independent woman.
She wanted to get more.
Joining the Texas Rangers.
No, she wasn't joining I thought she went to the Border Patrol.
Or the Border Patrol, whatever.
Completely different.
And, you know, even though she's going to be working under a man at the Border Patrol, she's not going to be the boss like she thinks she's going to be. And then, what else? The reporter woman, who is just a terrible character. She had no reason to be on the show.
And she was not who she was in the book either.
She leaves town at the end of the season after contributing nothing to the season. And then also the young woman who was in season 1, who had the baby and who was staying with the Leaphorn family. She just up and leaves her baby and abandons her own baby at the end of the season. So it's like the writers... Oh, yeah, and then the wife of the main bad guy, she just leaves. And it's like the writers of the show are so shitty and lazy that, like, they're just like, let's have all the female characters leave town. And that's a really creative thing to do, is to just have all these female characters just do the same thing.
It's just ridiculous.
What'd you think of that, Safi?
Oh, I just didn't like it. I've been trying to, push the show and support it as much as I could.
But you can't.
But there's
it's
just
bad.
They have to fix these things, and they need at least 2 more episodes. How many do they have? 6?
Yeah.
They need at least 2.
No, they need 5 more. 4 or 5.
At least 4, the minimum. That would make it 10. That's what we've been watching Fargo. That's how many episodes Fargo has. 10.
And they're so focused on more representation and, like, we have an all Native American writers team.
All different Native American
and it's like, look,
too.
Why don't they focus on representing the books that they're supposed to be adapting? Because they don't even represent the books. They're so focused on more representation. Well, what about the books that you're supposed to be basing the show after? Like, instead of destroying the characters and the stories.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's very frustrating. And, Tony Hillerman, the original writer of the series, he passed away, and his daughter took over. She's the one that has developed Manuelito into the series more of books. So we have yet to see that, because in this one, of course, she left to be on a border patrol, which I have, even to this day, it's kind of a thankless job. And she wants to be up for promotion, or get into promotional line, and I just don't think that's going to happen. And this was supposed to be back in the 70s, and it's even worse then. So to me, that's just so unrealistic. And besides that, she's leaving her home. She really likes being at home.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too, is that she supposedly cares about her people and about the reservation, and then she leaves. She
Yeah.
leaves.
And this is, and this, and that.
I guess she doesn't care.
And this is, the thing is, this is about the Navajo for the most part. But they have Hopi and some of the surrounding Pueblo people. The Pueblo dwellers. And all of these people, there's only on the cast and crew. There's only a few Navajo people. I think it's like you can count them on your hand. And that might be a problem, too. She's
and
not
the actress who plays her, Emanuelita, she's not Navajo, she's Scalaho. Get it? Because she always scowls all the time.
She's from Canada.
She just likes to
she's
scowl.
Canadian, Native American. But one true Navajo is Jolie, the woman Emma, who plays Jolie Porn's wife. And then there was a bad guy. He's not on it anymore. He was killed off the last season. And they help everybody with language because it's rather difficult. And anyway,
so
it would be better.
Number 5. Well, it's not going to get better because they won't. You have all these people. They won't accept criticism.
But they are getting another season. I do remember that.
Unfortunately. So number 5 is MasterChef Season 13, and I just think I've given up on MasterChef being a good show because every season you have the same problems. You have too much soap opera drama with like people's sob stories. You have a character that they're going to make it to the finale even though they don't deserve it, which in this season it was this blonde woman who every season they have to have like a pretty girl blonde woman who they find attractive, and she's usually like a mother of, whatever. And in this case, she was a mother of 6 children.
And she went on about it every episode.
That's all she talked about was like how she has 6 children. And her character, every season they have one like that who doesn't deserve to be in the finale, but somehow she makes it to the finale because she's easy on the eyes to the judges. And then they send people home who shouldn't be sent home. And then the next episode after that, they're surprised that, like, the chefs are doing badly. Like, in this season, they sent all the barbecuers home.
Yep.
And then they had these barbecuing challenges, and they could barely do it. They were miserable, like, they were going through torture. And it was because they're not barbecuers. They sent all the barbecuers home.
Yeah, the girl from Alabama, just as a reminder.
Oh yeah, her
dad was the barbecuer, and she would get to stand and watch. She said that.
So
not that I didn't think she was qualified, but for the barbecuing thing, not good.
This season was really bad because it got to this point where I think the best episode of the season was this Hell's Kitchen episode because you had all these people there who didn't deserve to be there, and they just miserably failed. Like, they did so terribly that they were about to cry. In fact, the Alabama girl especially, she was crying. She was like, "This isn't like my hometown. This isn't like my kitchen back in the barn at home."
Yeah, she wants to have one of those, what do they call it, where you pay what you think the meal deserves, and she wants to have it in their barn.
And then also, earlier on in the season, she had a terrible moment where they're supposed to be doing a team challenge where they made food for kids. And she came up with a terrible menu that was like for pretentious adults. And then after the challenge was over and they lost, she said, "I guess I should have been thinking about the children and not thinking about myself." And it's like...
And that's what he had told them at the beginning of the challenge.
Yeah.
Remember,
that was bad.
Children. He specifically said that.
Remember your audience. Okay. Throw that out the window.
Yeah, that was better than the other things, but it was...
The only thing that we could say
disappointing.
Is that at least the person who won wasn't the worst person there. Like, he was really mediocre, and there's no way he would have made it on, like, a regular MasterChef season. but compared to his competition, he really didn't have any competition, so...
He tried
right?
really hard, too, and he
had an agenda, though, because he was just focused on beer and putting beer in all of his dishes to prove that beer can be a part of fine dining, and it's like...
Because you know why? He sells alcohol.
Yeah.
He's an alcohol seller.
But it's like, just because it can be a part of it, that doesn't mean everyone wants alcohol to be in all their food.
Yeah,
So,
didn't he have it in the dessert?
yeah, everything.
Gross.
Everything. But it was better than the other two, like the other, the Kennedy woman with the dish where she had her sister come up and she was like, this dish really shows a lot about her queerness. And it's like
I almost threw up.
That was so bad.
Why would they do that? That
gross.
She's just... It just is stupid. So what would you say? This dish is all about your being straight.
Yeah, like what if...
Just don't do that
what if
stuff.
What if a man had a dish and his brother went up there and his brother said, this dish really shows a lot about how my brother has a really strong sex drive for women, and he's really straight and alpha, and this dish just proves that because you can see the symbolism on the plate of like the male parts, and it's really, really strong.
I mean,
would
people, they would be throwing up on the
But
floor.
if it's about queerness and about the alphabet community, it's like totally okay.
I just, why? And it ruined it for me. It
ruined
the whole, I mean, I was just turned off by the whole episode. I didn't even want to watch it anymore.
Yeah, I wanted to turn it off.
I really liked her because she lived in a trailer, or she was a schoolie girl, which, if you know what a schoolie is, it's a school bus or a bus that's been converted into a living a house on wheels. And I've seen them. They're really, really good. A lot of families live in those, and they have them fixed up. They've spent thousands of dollars. And all she did, her normal cooking life was she worked on a 2-burner hot plate type of thing that she would plug in
and
to make the dinners, and then she'd put it away.
She gets to the Masterchef finale after she didn't deserve to be there. They sent the guy from Ohio home wrongfully.
And he was really good. He was from Columbus.
He should have won the season because he was easily the best chef there.
And he improved, too, and he recognized his mistakes.
She gets to the finale, and she makes a dish. Her first dish is, like, really feminine, and then her second dish is really masculine because she wants to show about her sexuality and how she's not just a woman, she's a woman and a man at the same time because, she wants to show that on a plate. And it's like, that's not really how cooking works. Like, dishes aren't male or female. That's not really a thing. Like, a steak isn't, like, just a man's dish. Like, a lot of women love steak. So it's just really, really weird.
Yeah, it was sad.
And number 4 is White House Plumbers. This was another show that was too short. It was only like 5 episodes. So it was basically like a mini-series. But it was pretty good. It's not something I'd ever watch again, which I wouldn't watch any of the other things again either below it. But
well, I really liked it because it was so interesting that they brought that back, and they actually involved or did more in-depth character work on the 2 people who were kind of in charge. Well, they weren't the only ones in charge. They're like the middlemen. And what was going on, it was coming from the White House, the Nixon White House. But it was really fascinating, and it was good. But like Marco said, it was very few episodes,
and it wasn't really a show. Like a TV show is long form entertainment, and it's something where you set up a world with characters, and you follow those characters through seasons. That's what a TV show is. A TV show isn't just, hey, we have a little story to tell, It's basically like a 5-hour movie, and here you go. That's not a show. That's a movie or a miniseries. So, right, Safi?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. If you compare that to all the rest,
It
that's
was
why
fine.
we put it at the top.
It was fine. No, I didn't put it at the top.
Well, isn't that the one? Isn't that the last one?
No.
Oh, well, okay. How many more are there? Just tell me that.
3. Safi.
Okay, well, I would put that.
It's
for
4.
Me,
It's
if
number
I'd put
4.
it at the top.
It's number 4 out of 8, Safi. So that means that there's 3 left after that. Do you need me to?
Well, Marco has it where you can't see the others. So I can't see them.
Do you need someone to help count for you?
Oh, I don't have anything written down. So, anyway, go ahead.
Well, number 3 was Love and Death, and this was a show that it was another where it was like a mini series, and it was also based off a true story. And the problem with this show was that it wasn't really connected together. It felt very much like the first 2 episodes, these actors are highlighted, and then in the 3rd episode, this actor is highlighted, and then in the 4th one, another one is highlighted, and it really didn't connect together well. And another thing was that it was a very mysterious show that really, I didn't really feel like it was a good telling of the true events, because it was really weird how they made this main character like the protagonist of the show, but you know that if a man had done the things that she had done, that they wouldn't have done that, because all the stuff that she does is terrible, and then they come up with all this explanation for it, and it's just really bizarre, because at the end you're thinking the good guy didn't win, the bad guy won, because she gets away with everything that she does. Which is what happened in real life, and she even admits that she did it, and she just has a couple of excuses for it, and the excuses are really flimsy, and I don't know, because she didn't just kill somebody with an axe, she killed somebody with an axe like almost 100 times.
Oh God!
And it's like, no matter what, like, how could that have not been intentional? First-degree murder.
Oh, there'd be a lot more to that, of course.
It's just such a weird case, and it ends in such a Debbie Downer, depressing way, where no character gets a good ending at all. And in fact, the main character that you really, really like, who's like a lawyer, and you think like, he was the best character on the show because he was the only person who wasn't really like doing something bad, like her husband was shitty, she was shitty.
Was this the defense attorney or the prosecuting attorney?
The defense attorney.
Oh.
But he was the only character who wasn't doing something wrong in town, basically. And he actually ends up committing suicide off screen, and they end the show on that. And it's like just so depressing that like in the finale, like the bad guy wins, and all the characters have terrible, unhappy endings, and it's terrible. It's like it's a show that you never want to watch again, because it starts off like it could be really, really good, and it quickly just becomes like something that you wish you didn't watch, because it's very odd. It's a very odd case. I mean, there's questions that they were not able to answer. Like, there was something where she had a ring or something, or a key or keys, and somehow they landed all the way in the garage, and she claimed that she never went into the garage after she killed the person, which is, and so basically she came up with this excuse that, oh, maybe somehow the keys magically flew in there when the door opened for a couple of seconds, or they were kicked in there or something. It's just, that's a lie. And so it's just very, very creepy, the story, and how this woman got away with murder.
She got away with it?
Yeah.
With that kind of
she
intensity of
yeah.
Murder?
And the woman was pregnant, too.
Oh, wow.
And she got away with it.
Huh.
Awful story.
And it's a true story?
And they made this character, Elizabeth Olsen, who nobody's going to go against her because she's pretty and she's Elizabeth Olsen. The real life woman, she's ugly as hell. She looks like a fucking old woman that you'd see working in an elementary school or a fucking library. She doesn't look like anyone you'd want to sleep with. She doesn't look like anyone that you want to have an affair with. Like, the whole story is about how she has an affair. And it's like nobody would ever want to have an affair with her in real life. They would want to have an affair with Elizabeth Olsen. So they purposefully cast this pretty woman to play this character. And that's something that happens so much in these Hollywoodized versions of true stories, where they have a pretty person come in to play this ugly, awful real-life character. And so it completely, like, takes all the meaning out of the character in the show. And it's pretty questionable. But it did have a lot of great acting. And it's not a good story at all. Because that's bad. She got away with murder.
Wow. I can't believe that.
And then, number 2 is Your Honor Season 2.
Oh, boy.
And I would just say there's 2 things of why I put it this high. Number 1, it improved on Season 1.
Yeah.
Right, Safi?
Oh, yeah. A lot better. And, I think because all the focus wasn't on Bryan Cranston.
It was like a different show.
Yeah.
And another thing is because it was actually like a TV show should be. It had a world with characters that you're following every episode, and it felt like this is what a TV show should be like. You know, right, Sapi?
Yeah.
It didn't really feel like a movie or a miniseries. It felt like a show.
I'm glad that it improved. The last one, it ends so very surprisingly bad.
This one ends badly, too.
And
that kid gets away with murder, that piece of shit Eugene.
Oh, yeah. But it's so funny because, Bryan Cranston doesn't want to do it anymore. And he goes back to prison at the end of this. And he's practically dancing into the entrance because he knows he doesn't have to do any more episodes.
Yeah, that was irritating.
I thought that was funny.
Why?
Because it's just,
It's
you
stupid.
can't take that seriously.
He just goes to prison for no reason after he's the one who solved all the problems in the end. He goes back to prison. And, but
it wasn't right, but it's not surprising.
There were a lot of great things about the season, especially the episode to do with his wife's death, which was it was a plot hole that they needed to solve.
And I was very happy that they did.
And they had this really cool story that was basically like a kind of like an inspired by Magnum Force, the Dirty Harry movie. And it was really, really good.
Well, I didn't even expect it to. To me, it was a surprise.
Yeah.
Because they just kind of glossed over it in the first season.
Yeah.
And I thought, why are they doing that?
And it felt like they were setting it up for something, and then they just ended the show, and it's like, why are they ending the show when they have all these issues that they need to solve?
And that's why, the thing is that at the beginning of this first season, that's why the boy was even out that way. Because his mom had been killed. It was the anniversary of her death.
Yeah.
And he went to the place where she was killed, and I think he put some flowers there or something. He put something there. And so that's...
No, he didn't get to. He never got to the...
Well, these people started, who lived in the area or lived and or worked, they started going after him. And for no good reason. And he got freaked out, and he was asthmatic. He started having an asthma attack. I mean, it started off the whole episode. Because of that, that's why everything happened. I mean, that's how it started. I'll put it that way. And So the second one, it just was such an improvement because
Yeah.
it's like it picked up on everything and then it developed it out. And you also got to see more of the Italian couple and their relationship. I mean, that was unbelievable. What happens with that, and then the daughter, that was another surprise, and then it was even more of a surprise what she did, and with the baby, and she had a baby, and the baby was the son, Bryan Cranston's son, and that was I freaked out. I couldn't believe it, and then at the end, she gives it up for adoption, and leaves town. I mean, it was just unbelievable. So I don't think they're going to do any more.
Unfortunately.
And
because they still had stuff that was like they were setting up for more.
But at least they made a very big effort to improve the series. That's what I like. When people make a real, honest-to-goodness effort. And they did a pretty good job on certain respects or aspects of the series. Maybe that thing was Bryan Cranston dancing his way into the prison. I don't know anybody who dances their way into prison. So, but that was kind of odd. But other than that, that was really good.
My number one is MasterChef Junior. Home for the holidays.
I didn't see that either.
So this was something that Safi didn't see because she doesn't like good shows. She likes bad shows.
That's not true.
And I felt like it was so funny that like somehow after having that horrible MasterChef season, they come back at the end of the year and they do a really good job with MasterChef Junior with like not even a full season, just a 4-episode event thing. And I thought it was really good. It was really fun and funny. And the person who won was actually someone who deserved to win.
That's
and
cool.
There wasn't really anything that I didn't like in it. I really liked the addition of his daughter. Because there were several times in the show where Gordon would say something was done wrong. And then his daughter would say, "No, it wasn't. I like it that way." Like, there's this one kid, and he made cookies, or it was a she, I can't remember. And they made cookies, and they were ooey and gooey on the inside. And Gordon said, "Those need to be cooked longer. They need to be cooked for at least 2 or 3 more minutes in the oven." And she was like,
familiar.
"No, Gordon is wrong. I like them that way. I want them really ooey gooey on the inside." So there were several moments where she would like
So she gave
shut him
some
down.
weapons.
Yeah. And he would be like, he would make this face like, if you were Aaron or Joe or Daphne, and I'd be having words with you, but you're my daughter, so I'm screwed.
And the daughter probably knew that.
Yeah. And I thought it was good because it was stupid. Like, there was subjective stuff that he was criticizing, and she was like, "No, you're wrong."
And he's not perfect. He thinks he's perfect.
He made
and that's
those.
the problem. He's full of himself.
He made those frozen meals.
And those were crap.
Those were really bad.
All of them.
So I would highly recommend that show. I'd probably watch that again and not rewatch anything else on the list again. And that's it.
That's it. So, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. And we would like to hear your feedback. What shows for the year? Because I'm sure there were a few that you watched that we didn't, that you would recommend, or that you actually despised. Either one, but it's your opinion, and it'd be interesting to hear. Or did you watch any of these, and what'd you think of them? I know my other son, he would be disagreeing with me about the Goosebumps show, I believe, because he thought it was wonderful, and I totally disagree with him. But anyway, so that's it, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.